and welcome to the yet-to-be-named Sports Roundtable, a show where we give you 3 topics and we talk about them 3 minutes each, and it'll get pretty wild in here, from local to national sports to the teams down in the Twin Cities. Alongside me is Eric Peterson from the Forum and Hayden Goethe from the Forum. I'm Jody Norstedt from WDAY. Guys, our first topic, we have 3 topics today. The Minnesota Wild, Matt Cullen, obviously what happened there, and the Minnesota Timberwolves free agency, and Chris Davis chasing Roger Maris's legitimate home run record.
Before I get started, I got to get the timer out and also be happy that Dom Izzo and Jeff Kolpak aren't trying to steal the thunder today.
Yeah.
Those guys are
How are they not on the debut?
Well, they just think they're too cool for school, so
I don't know.
we axed them out.
Do we consider this the JV squad?
Well, you
Eric's
can call
here.
it that.
Eric's here, yeah, Eric's here. Never mind, we're the varsity
There's a pretty good
squad.
chance you and I are never going to be here again. So
I don't know about that, but let's get this thing rolling. Let's get the first topic on the timer. 3 minutes now.
Well, Minnesota Wild, Matt Cullen. Matt Cullen leaves the Wild to go sign with Nashville, 2 years, $7 million. I guess, the Wild said that they didn't have enough room for him. Do you buy that?
It seems like kind of a weird statement now when you look. They signed Matt Cook instead of Matt Cullen. Matt Cook's a 34-year-old forward. He got 3 years, $7.5 million, about $2.5 million per year. And you look at the deal that Cullen signed with the Nashville Predators, that was 2 years, $7 million. So it wasn't totally out of the ballpark. So for GM Chuck Fletcher to say that we didn't even want to offer you something because we thought it'd be too insulting seems a little awkward looking at what they did after that, because they traded away Devin Setaguchi and Cal Clutterbuck to get back some of that salary cap space.
And boy, do you get a real different player than you had with Matt Cullen than with Matt Cook, a guy that's had plenty of troubles with the league as far as getting suspended and stuff like that.
yeah, I don't know if part of it is just, if you look at the Cook contract, it's backloaded to a little bit. The first year is only $2 million, and I think the Wild after this upcoming season are supposed to have a lot more money to play with. So maybe there's some legitimacy there. But I thought it was a little strange because they had not even gotten a chance to act, with the trades yet when they told Cullen that, he wasn't going to be coming back. So I don't know. Hard to know what to believe there. I feel like they could have made it work if they really wanted to.
Well, the other thing that worries me about this is Matt Cullen's out the door, Devin Setaguchi's out the door, and of course Matt Cullen, since he's from Moorhead, people in this area are going to be a little more offended by that because they want him to stay out the Wild and kind of, be near here so you can drive down and watch him play. Pierre-Marc Bouchard is out the door, so then you bring in Nino, I hope I say this right, Nino Niederreiter,
El Nino.
the
El
Nino.
Nino.
He's a young guy who's supposed to be a scoring ace, but he's only scored 2 goals in 64 NHL games. But he's still only 20, so he's a young guy. You bring in Matt Cook, who's definitely not an offensive type player, more of almost a goon type forward. And, this team struggled scoring goals last year. So you lose Setaguchi, you lose Cullen, you lose Pierre-Marc Bouchard, and you're like, where's this scoring going to come from? Well, obviously they're going to lean on these young guys. You got the guys like Jason Zucker, who scored the game winner in the overtime in the playoffs against the Blackhawks, Charlie Coyle and Mikael Granlund. I think they're really asking a lot, leaning on those young guys to give them scoring punch, because they're going to need to find some scoring, especially when, at times they struggled with that a big ton last year.
Well, here's a look at what Mr. Cullen's going to look like, I guess. You can maybe see that from Saturday's Forum with the Nashville Predators. He could be a first-line center. I know some of them are talking about him being maybe a first-line center for that team. It's a team that wasn't very good last year, but they made some offseason moves.
Yeah, that was odd too. I know that it sounded like Cullen wanted to go play for a playoff contender.
Yeah.
That is not a team that doesn't really seem to fit the bill.
Exactly.
So, I don't really see him as a first-line guy, but he's certainly a facilitator type. So,
well, time has run out on our first topic. Let's head to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Oh, we got music
we need
for
sound
it.
effects, but let's go to topic 2 here.
The Minnesota Timberwolves in free agency, they added Kevin Martin, 4 years, $28 million. Chase Budinger, 3 years, $16 million. Hayden, we'll start with you. I guess Kevin Martin, this is big. The Timberwolves, that everyone's been clamoring the last few years, get a guy that can shoot the ball finally, and finally it looks like they have a guy.
Yeah, I love the move. That was the guy, when they were talking about the shooting guards that were available, Eric can probably speak a little more about who else was there. I know O.J. Mayo was a popular target, but I love Kevin Martin. He's a good scorer. He's tall. He's going to be able to defend a little bit, I think. He's not a great defender, but I don't think he's going to embarrass you either. So I thought he was a nice fit, and I think it was great that they brought in Chase Budinger back. They need a guy that can shoot, and Chase Budinger, when all those guys were hurt, what was it, in November? He was kind of carrying this team for about 4 or 5 games before he went down too. But They were getting a lot of points from those guys. I thought those were two great moves.
How about you, E?
Just the way the market fell, yes. I mean, Martell Webster got 4 years, $22 million. I mean, that kind of puzzles me. So right away, I thought, Kevin Martin getting $7 million a year is a little high. But I mean, like you said, he's shooting. I think he shot over 40% from three-point range last year. This is a team that's had Luke Riddenauer play the two guard the last 2 years. I mean, they need a guy who's like long and can shoot the ball, and Kevin Martin fits that bill. Like you said, Chase Budinger as well. The thing that worries me a little bit is they have no defenders on the perimeter, so they might have to win.
Who needs to play defense? It's the NBA.
If we're talking about Y-ball down here, maybe we can outscore teams like 130 to 115, the Wolves that is, but it gives them something. I mean, I just didn't feel good last year with Brandon Roy. I just didn't want to believe a guy who had like no cartilage in his knees, who just sat out the year before, was all of a sudden going to come back and be able to play, especially in a strike-shortened season where everything's abbreviated and you don't get much time to rest. So Kevin Martin's healthy. Kevin Martin can shoot the ball, so I think that's a definite upgrade at that spot.
And boy, he could flourish in Rick Adelman's offense, who I know he loves playing for Rick Adelman. He's played for him in the past. With Sacramento when he first came into the league. And playing with Ricky Rubio is going to be pretty exciting too. Ricky Rubio driving the lane and kicking it out to him for a three. Another big deal, Nikola Pekovic right now. It's been reported out at KSTP in the Twin Cities, our sister station in the Twin Cities, that they have offered Pekovic a deal. And it would be big to get this guy back, and big may be the key word here. He's a big guy.
I would be shocked if they didn't bring him back. I mean, I think it would take a pretty sizable offer from another team for the Wolves not to want to match that. And I think they see that they have a window here. It's going to be hard for them to go forward, I think, for an extended period of time with both Love and Rubio, the way the contracts are set up. So they're going to have to try to make it work in the short term. I think they have to bring Pekovic back.
The one thing that worries me, but maybe it's just market value. I mean, is Nikola Pekovic a $12 million a year player, and that's minimum. It could
doesn't feel like
it could go higher than that. I mean, but when you see some of the other offers they've got, like Andre Iguodala got 4 years, $56 million.
Hey,
well, I guess we're done. So, but I just think it's a lot of money, but they have to keep them. So
how many centers are out there really though that can play? I mean, how many are out there can really play?
But then
there's not that many. I mean,
well, we got to move on.
We got to move on.
Let's get out of here.
In Sunday's Forum, you maybe saw this image on the front cover. Obviously, everyone from around here knows Roger Maris, a local guy that did hit the legitimate home run record, 61 homers. And now Chris Davis, a guy that's chasing him. And Chris Davis has kind of pointed out, I want to beat that record. And the Baltimore Orioles player who's currently batting .316, 33 home runs right now in 89 games. Guys, he's on pace to hit around 60 home runs. Do you think he can do it?
He can do it. I don't know if he will, but like you said, this leads us to the point. If Chris Davis, say, hit 62, 63 home runs and beat that record, would people, especially being in the Fargo-Moorhead community, would people accept that as the record? Because right now people are like, Roger Maris is still the legitimate home run king because the guys who have beat it in the past have had some sort of links to PEDs or steroids or something. If Chris Davis does it this season, well, there's drug testing. So I don't know how you could say he didn't do it naturally. So if you're a Maris fan, you hope he doesn't get there. Because you can still hold on to Roger Maris being the legitimate home run king right now.
Hayden, what's your take?
I think Maris fans out there would be okay with Chris Davis passing him. I mean, I think any time that Roger Maris's name gets thrown back into the national spotlight, I think is a good thing. And Chris Davis has had nothing but great things to say. He recently said in an interview that he still views Roger Maris as a true home run record holder. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it's like I think a lot of people around here aren't really sure what to make of Maris. I mean, in terms of the record, I mean, I just think there's a lot of confusion. All the records are just kind of a little bit messed up now because of the steroids and the PEDs.
Yeah, how many asterisks can you put in the record books next to Barry Bonds, next to Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire? It's almost like the records have been watered down in baseball. Is that kind of the feeling that you get?
I don't know if watered down's the word, but I mean, it's just like it's a different era now. Before they had a dead ball era, now you had a steroid era. I mean, it's just so hard. The problem is it's so hard to keep records from the beginning of baseball to now and have the numbers be equal. Well, if Babe Ruth hit how many home runs he hit in a dead ball era, is that better than someone hitting 73 home runs in the new technology and the steroid era? I mean, that's the hardest thing. All these people, all these players played under different circumstances. Like today, they travel first class. I don't know, they're probably hopping buses and whatever to travel, and they're probably tired from game to game. I don't know. So it's hard to like compare what somebody did in 1929 to what someone's doing in 2011, 2012, 2013 when you look at all the different factors they have to play with.
And it's amazing. You just see how athletes are built these days compared to how they were built back then.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, we were just watching even they had All-Star highlights on MLB Network, which I'm always glued to, and that was on at Buffalo Wild Wings yesterday, and we were watching it, and you just saw slim Mark McGwire as a rookie on the 1987 All-Star team, and how much things have changed because they've gone back to that now. The power hitters look like that again,
Yeah.
but for a while there in the 90s,
clean.
they certainly didn't.
Boom. There it
Whoa.
is. Well, we hope you enjoyed the first edition of the yet-to-be-named Sports Roundtable. Go ahead and tweet at one of us. We're all on Twitter. Just go ahead and search us up and tweet out what you think the name to this show should be. And maybe if you have any questions or want to just get into the conversation with us, I'm sure we'll reply back. We have plenty to say.
I suggest you tweet at Hayden Goethe. He's the best person on this panel on
I need the
Twitter.
followers, man. Help me out.
All right, for Eric Peterson and Hayden Goethe, I'm Jody Norstedt. We'll see you next time on the Sports Roundtable.